Okay, hey guys, Paul here at the Bikeskinz Design Studio in North Carolina. And let me tell you, it's very rainy. This is the rainiest year I have ever seen for this area. I don't know if it's global warming or what, but I do know that that means a lot of people are inside on the computer looking up ways to go ahead and fix up their bikes, maybe throw a wrap design on it. So a lot of people are starting to think about these. We're starting to get calls come in. Of course, our business is seasonal, and this is a time where people start really considering purchasing a wrap for their bike. And one of the most common questions that I get is, how easy is it to install? How do we do this? Of course, we have those videos are on our site. You can read those or watch those. There's a lot of information to go over in those videos. One of the things that most people are doing when they're looking at the videos is they're trying to at least figure out if they can do it. And sometimes, you have to watch several minutes up to maybe an hour's worth of videos, and you can get more comfortable and say, yeah, I can probably do this now that I watched the video. Another question that's really common is people ask about, what's the process? Like, do you have to leave the bodywork on? Is it cut to the shape of the bike and things like that? Well, wrap material is set up, even when they wrap cars, it's set to wrap all the way to the edge and then trim away, so you don't have to worry about it being die cut or shaped to the bodywork where you have to get it lined up just right. You have a little bit of margin of error. And then the second thing is do you wrap it with the bodywork attached to the bike, or do you wrap it with the bodywork off, like on a table? And that's a consideration that you'll really have to evaluate yourself based on a few different criteria. So here's some of the things you'll consider about this. So if your bodywork, for example, has frame sliders and things like that, it's hard to wrap the edge of the bodywork to get where it needs to go if you have frame sliders on. So yeah, you'd probably want to remove those and then maybe try to do it. Some other bikes are easy to wrap with the bodywork still left on the bike. So you want to make sure you can tuck to the edge of your bodywork and easily trim that away with an X-Acto knife. So if you can't get to those areas, you probably will have to move the bodywork. One of the most common pieces that I always leave on the bike is the upper front fairing where the headlight is. You don't have to remove the headlight, maybe remove the mirrors, things like that. You can wrap that pretty easily. Side fairings, if it's one piece like an older GSXR, you could probably wrap it on the bike. If you have multiple pieces, where it's a newer GSXR, may have 3 or even 4 pieces that come apart and fit together like a puzzle, probably want to remove it. You're going to get a lot cleaner install job there. Now, a couple things to consider whenever it's off of the bike is you're going to have to hold those pieces of the bike stationary with either a friend that helps you. You may have to use clamps, things like that, but it is a little bit harder to install it with it off the bike because it moves around. If it's on the bike and you have a track stand set up, of course, that bike and the bodywork is very stable. So that's another consideration. Another thing is if you have side fairings that have multiple pieces, which a lot of bikes nowadays do, it may be a little bit more challenging for you to line up if there's graphics that line up. For example, this design that's in the background here is one of our very old designs. It has a star on it. So if you had a 3-piece fairing or a 2-piece fairing, you wanted to make sure that the outlines of that lined up properly on the side. So you'd have to go to some extra measures, and there's some techniques in our videos that shows how to do that there. Which basically use masking tape and kind of use these different techniques to make sure that the pieces line up whenever you're installing those on those side fairings. So that's just a few more considerations. Of course, we're here to answer any questions you have. If you want to email us or give us a call, feel free to do so. I can always give you advice. Another thing I left out that's kind of important to consider is sometimes if you are wrapping to the back side of your bike, it kind of hides what the bodywork, the original bodywork color is. If you kind of sometimes wrap to the edge and trim away, you may just barely see the some of the edge of what the previous color was. So for this design in the background here, it's shown on the screen there. It's mostly black and white and gray with a red star in it. So if you had a black or a white, possibly even a red original bodywork, you maybe could get away with wrapping to the edge. But if you had a yellow bodywork, or if you're wrapping like a green bike or something, you probably want to wrap all the way to the back side and trim away on the back side. That anytime you wrap away all the way to the back side too, that also gives you a more secure install job, so it helps maintaining the robustness of the wrap as far as not peeling away and things of that nature. So those are just some considerations for installation. I guess if you have any other questions, feel free to hit us up.